Hey everyone, how you doing? My name is Jane Power, and I'm here with my friend Larry Webb, and we want to welcome you to The Called. Um, the message at the end of the podcast from March 20th, 2019 is about your mind-body connection. You'll hear that at the end of the show.
Nice.
And
Very
how you
nice.
doing, Larry?
Fantastic.
So
Things are kind of rolling along.
things are rolling along.
Yep.
It's
It's been an interesting week.
the end of October 2020.
Yeah.
And what's been going on?
You know, I have to kind of plug someone else's podcast. Not that he has a podcast, because he doesn't. He has a radio show as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
But really, he's probably the first person to do a podcast. And it's his name is Reverend Wind, MD. And he has a podcast. He's probably done 200 and something episodes.
Okay.
And he's always on the cutting edge of what's going on today.
Yeah.
And one of the things he's been having these doctors on talking about she's like I think her name is Betty something, but she's like the foremost person with what's it called? What's in sodas? Aspartame or whatever it's called.
What? Aspartame and sodas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And how bad it is for you,
Right.
and how many different things it causes. Pretty interesting. And so
Well, I'm sure you've had your share of aspartame over the years.
I haven't.
You haven't?
No, I don't.
Because isn't that what they say to drink? I mean, to sweeten your drinks with? If you're a diabetic?
Yeah, but I don't use that stuff.
Okay.
I
But a
I
lot
don't.
of people do.
A lot of people do.
A lot of
Yeah.
people.
And it's in a lot of medicines.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like
why I
what kind of
thought that was
medicines?
a lot of medicines that are supposed to really help you. They're putting it in to make it easier to take,
Mm-hmm.
which is actually doing the opposite. It's actually, like I just started listening to them, but they were really informative on that. So that was something
Cool.
that came up this week that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, where'd you find out about this guy?
So when my book went out, someone told me to
And what's your book name again? Plug.
my plug little book, the little book, From This to Bliss, and
It's by Larry Daniel Webb.
yes, by Larry Daniel Webb. And
I like that
actually,
name.
my editor, people that were doing the editing of my book, had a friend that was on his radio show,
Mm-hmm.
and thought that I'd be interested in talking to him
Okay.
because he's been working with addiction for 40 years.
Okay. This is the guy with the aspartame who's studying the aspartame.
He's not studying it. He's bringing guests on. If you wind up on his show, he's done enough research to know what you're talking about is real.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? He was part of before it ever hit TV, he was part of the bunch of doctors that were doing research on the whole COVID thing. And they were saying, oh, you can use this combination long before it ever hit TV.
Oh, you
And
mean the hydroxychloroquine
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
zinc, I believe,
they were
right?
way ahead of that. And long before I even heard it on TV.
Right.
So I heard it on TV. I was like, oh, well, that's old.
But that's the cure
But
that
it's no.
nobody's allowed to use, though.
Right. That they'll take it away from you instead,
Right.
which is a little strange. But anyway,
Yeah, I know.
some things in life
won't-
are strange.
We won't go down that road.
We don't have to go down that path at all. What else with you going on?
Boy. God, I can't even remember what I did the beginning of today, for crying out loud. No, it was
Yeah.
it was a busy weekend, family. You know, it's
Good.
fall. It's fall, and I have a little grandson who's 4 years old, so it's the season for apple picking and pumpkin picking. So we went up to my son's farm in Canterbury, Connecticut. Have you
Mhm.
ever been up there?
I probably have driven through it or past it. And
It's called
and
the
didn't even
Quiet
know.
the Quiet Corner of Connecticut.
Oh,
That's what it's called. And boy, is it quiet. It's just fields and stone walls and just beautiful scenery.
nice.
So we went up there and, had good lunch and ice cream and I got my favorite ice cream. Guess what it is?
What is it?
Rum raisin.
Rum raisin.
Everybody is like, rum raisin? All the ice creams, and that's what you pick? Yep, that's what I pick.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. It was fun. And then I babysat on Saturday for my grandson. Jimmy went up to the cottage. We got a place up in New Hampshire, and James, my significant other, is in the process of doubling the size of it. So he was doing that, and I
Nice.
watched my grandson by myself, which was a little scary. Even though I've raised 5 kids on my own, being with this one child, I was just like, okay, what am I going to do with him? Well,
6 is a little
how,
tougher.
how am I going to keep him entertained? But it does all come back to you.
Yeah.
And you know what was good? He's usually when he's with us, it's usually he gravitates to Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had him all to myself, and we didn't do any roughhousing because Jimmy's the roughhouser. He likes to joke and fool around and make him laugh. We spent the whole night just talking. It was awesome.
Nice.
It was awesome. That's how you get to know somebody. So we had fun. The best part was he didn't wet my bed because he won't sleep in the other room anymore. Forget
No,
it. He's too scared.
He's done with that?
Yeah, he's too scared. So I have a king-size bed, so he sleeps on one side. He sleeps on Jimmy's side. And it was a good night.
Because Papa still sleeps there.
Huh?
Because
That's
Jimmy
right.
sleeps there. That's right.
That's right.
That makes sense. I'm sleeping where Jimmy slept then. That's it.
So it was a good weekend. And
Nice.
then today is Monday, and every Monday I meet with my friend who I get the God messages with,
Mm-hmm.
and we got a really good message today about she showed up with some questions about a dream she had that was so real, and she was just wondering if maybe she had connected with her mother in the dream, and she was wondering if that really could have been her mother that she connected with, or was it just a dream? And I don't know. I say that it was, when it's that vivid, you're there. Well, you know what they say is when you sleep, you're pretty much the closest to the other side.
Yeah.
When you sleep or probably meditate, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
your thought on it?
When you're meditating, basically, and you get to that place where you're almost asleep,
Mm-hmm.
that's the perfect spot. It's right where you want to be,
Right.
basically.
But is that the place where you're going to have visions?
When you say visions, or it's not always a vision. Sometimes it's just a knowing. You get to, there's things that you just know in that empty space.
Right.
It's like creation happens right there. So sometimes it's that. I remember, I think it's Thomas Edison.
I don't know.
Thomas Edison. I think it was Thomas Edison used to. Yeah, it was Thomas Edison. Used to
I can take these off.
try to. He would sit when he's doing some work. He'd have it sitting there, and he would sit with a rock in his hand, and he'd have a metal pail below his hand, and he'd just sit there as he's dozing off. Once he falls asleep, the rock would fall
And it would wake him
and
up.
wake him up. He'd start writing as fast as he could. And that's where he got most of his ideas from.
God, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I kind of do that right now. I do that with my cell phone. You know, I'll sit there and I'll try to text somebody like at 11 o'clock at night. And then I'll get halfway through and I'll fall asleep and I'll drop my cell phone on the floor. I'm not kidding. And then I'll wake up and I'll continue with it. I can't. One night
were,
it took
huh?
me a good half hour before I could get a short little text out because I dropped my phone so many times. Crazy. So I'm like Thomas Edison.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
But you don't send those to me at night.
No,
because
I won't.
I'm not sending anything back.
Right.
So
So so that was interesting. She
hmm.
she brought that up to me, and then we got a message about that and how to basically set yourself up before you go to sleep at night to be able to connect with the other side and and remember it. It won't happen every time, but if you kind of set the intention, kind of like when Esther Hicks when she tries to teach people about teaches people about going into the workshop before meditation and basically having an intention.
Yep. Yeah.
It's probably the same type of thing.
That kind of lines up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have an intention of who you'd like to see or speak with, and like I said, it may not happen right away, but God said it will happen. So, yes.
Dreams are funny because I've had dreams that are reoccurring dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you know the meaning of the dream?
There's this thing about myself knowing that I'm dreaming, and I just stay in it.
Yeah.
And I just had one. Matter of fact, last night, the day before, 2 nights ago.
Now, is this a reoccurring dream?
No, it wasn't reoccurring, but when it was happening,
if it's reoccurring, it has meaning.
And
you're just not getting it.
There was a reoccurring dream I used to have since I was a young child to today.
All right, let's analyze this.
And it's being my yard in Ridgefield, where I grew up in that hood, and that
was a tough hood to grow up in, huh?
Tough place to live.
Yeah, that's like growing up in Madison, Larry.
Yeah, and in the yard, there was always this snake that would come up and wipe out my entire family.
Really?
And the dream would reoccur, and I used to jump up right in the middle of it all the time, try to get away from it.
And would it always wipe out your family?
It's always attacking my family, yeah.
But would it wipe them out?
It would start to, but I would stop. I would jump up right in the middle of the dream. It's like, oh, I'm out of this. We're not doing this. And then sometimes I go back to sleep. If I lay back down and I lay in the same position, it starts up again.
Do you still have that dream?
Every once in a while, not like I used to, but every once in a while it'll pop up. And now I
wonder
know what to expect.
I wonder who this snake is.
I don't know.
Well, maybe you should let the dream go on and find out.
Maybe. Next time it happens, maybe I'll stick around.
You should.
Usually I'm out of here. It's like, oh no, we're out. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's kind of interesting.
I remember years ago, I was watching 2020, and there was an amazing story about this woman. I think she was from Ireland. Her name was Jenny Cackell, and it was during the time when Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters were together on 2020. Did you ever watch it? You probably didn't.
Don't remember it then.
Well, anyways, they were. Hugh Downs
being together, yeah.
Yeah, Hugh Downs was the one who did the interview. It was unbelievable. She had a reoccurring dream. Mm-hmm. She was from either Scotland or Ireland. She had this reoccurring dream that she was down at a dock waiting for somebody to come home, but she couldn't figure out who it was that she was waiting for to come home. So and she had visions, and this started in her early childhood. She had these visions, and she knew that she left 5 children behind. She knew from an early age that she had died and left 5 children behind. And she had pictures in her visions or dreams of buildings, and she kept a journal. She would draw pictures of the buildings that she would see in her dreams. She saw the house that she grew up in, blah, blah, blah. So fast forward, she gets married, she has kids of her own, and she's still having these dreams, and she decides, now that her kids are older, that she is going to get hypnotized and see if she can figure out who she was in this past life. Mm-hmm. It was that real to her. So she was hypnotized, found out her name was Jenny. No, her name was Mary. Her name in this lifetime was Jenny Cackell. She knew her name was Mary, and she left 5 children. She had an idea that it could be someplace in, I can't remember whether it was Ireland or Scotland. So she collected money, took a trip, went to various orphanages to see if there had been a woman who had died and left these kids behind. Sure enough, she found out there was a woman named Mary Sutton, mm-hmm. who died after the birth of, I think, her 5th child. And left all these kids behind. Well, she was able to find all of her children who were now in their late 70s. 2 of them had been in an orphanage, didn't even know they had other siblings.
Mm.
I mean, the story was just amazing. And she
Yeah.
was able to gather them all together. And these children who were brought up as Catholics, who weren't supposed to really believe in any of this stuff, believed that she was their mother, Mary Sutton. And she had died like in the 20s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
she would tell them stories that she would recall about catching a rabbit or a hare. They called it a hare
Right.
in a snare. And she was cooking like a stew for the kids. And, they remembered all that. And they brought her back to the old homestead. It was...
I think I've heard about something
It
like
was-
that.
it was
the story
unbelievable.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, but her oldest,
where.
she figured out, you remember the whole thing, the reoccurring dream that she would have about waiting for somebody down at the dock? Well, it turned out it was her eldest child who was a caddy. He was a golf caddy on an island, on a small island.
Mm-hmm.
And she would wait on that dock for him to come home. They would rowboat him home, and she was waiting there for him.
Hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I love that story. But I have the CD if you ever want to watch it.
I gotta find the snake.
You got to stay in your dream, for crying out loud. That's what you got to do, Larry.
Yeah.
I want to know who that snake is.
Yeah.
Because
I'm dying to know.
Because it's not a snake.
I'm dying to know who
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. What's up with the snake?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
All right. So now, now you. Let's punt this back and forth. Now it's your turn.
You're gonna punt to me?
Yeah, now it's your turn.
A fair catch. Okay. I'm messing with you now.
I mean, unless you want me to talk about.
So the
okay.
other thing is, this is kind of sticking in my head. So I have a very, very good friend who watches this podcast and is very impressed with it. And from one that I just started to look at it because of my book and everything that I already plugged, so I don't have to say it again.
Okay.
But she was basically saying to me how she found it interesting after she read my book and what she hears on this podcast all the time.
Okay.
And it's there are 2 people that I would like to talk to. One is the gentleman from it's called London Calling. He's over in England, has this big organization
So
in
this
business.
is somebody that you want to talk to.
I want to talk to him. Yeah, he's I just happened to one day see him do a talk about his recovery and how he's how he got to where he is and how that's a big part of his life.
Okay.
And this same other gentleman, the show that she watches, is very much into his recovery, and I guess has been talking about it.
Wait, who's into the other guy's recovery or
My-
into his own? Do they both have recovery stories?
They're individual stories, yes.
Okay.
And I guess he had been clean for 16 years. His name is Dax Shepard.
Yep, I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's an actor, and
His wife is Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. Yes,
Right.
Which I don't really know them or anything.
She was actually in
that.
she was in a show with Ted Danson, something about God. They were
Really?
they were ghosts or something.
okay. Ted Danson. Yes. Okay, I'm thinking of.
Maybe it wasn't something about God.
I had the
I
wrong
think
Ted.
I think they were ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one from Ted Danson, the one from
Yep.
Cheers.
Well,
Okay.
from Cheers, yeah. So, she is always saying to me, after reading your book, I always find it interesting that he's constantly talking about the 16 years that he's been clean and sober.
Right.
And I had said,
So is that
naturally-
is that considered recovery?
that's being in recovery. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever recover?
Well, see, that's
Can you ever just call it I'm recovered?
I'm recovered. I don't know what it's an interesting thing without going too far off that little story. But if you go online or like on Facebook or something like that or Instagram,
Yeah.
and you type in recovery, there's like 1 million people who are in recovery.
Right.
If you type in recovered, there's 1,000 people.
Really?
Yeah, which I think is like amazing.
Yeah.
But so this being the topic, and she was wondering what I thought of it, and I said, I'm not one of those counting people. I don't believe in counting.
Right.
Because I think counting keeps you there. It keeps your addiction alive, and you're looking at it every single day.
Well, you don't think people just count because they're proud of the fact that they made it?
They are proud.
Right.
They are proud. Let me give you another example. I had a client who was in a group that I was working with.
Okay.
And he basically said to the group, it's about 38 people in the group, he said, oh, I'm doing really, really well. Things are going really good. And he was like, he's asking me a question, basically. And he's like, what I do to make sure that I stay on top of this is I carry this picture. And he reaches in, and it's a picture of him all fucked up. All right? He's like, keep this. So when I look at it, I know what I used to be, so I'll never be that again.
Well, people do that when they go on a diet. They put a fat
People-
picture of them or a skinny picture of
Yeah.
them on the refrigerator. It's the same thing.
Or people do it when they have a car crash. They'll show you the picture of the car.
I've never experienced that
And I was
before.
like,
no,
well,
that's
that's
something I'd
interesting.
like to forget about. Thank you very much.
So when he asked me the question, what I thought, I said, why would you keep reminding yourself,
Of how fucked up you were?
yeah, and drawing yourself back? You're keeping it alive in your consciousness.
Right.
So really, you're still there. And he was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And he relapsed. And I was like, well, that's not really a surprise
Yeah.
because you're really keeping it active in your consciousness. Well, counting is the same
Yeah, but
thing.
it's the same thing with the AA. When they go in and they have their meeting, when they're drinking their coffee and they're saying, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm an addict.
Right.
Or I'm an alcoholic. And I'm, what do
True.
they say? They're saying they're powerless. It's the same thing, right?
Well, it's very similar. It's reinforcing something. It's like there's that saying, if you constantly talk about what you don't want will keep showing up.
Well,
Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah. There's, I don't know if you believe in number sequences, but the number 111 means only concentrate on what you want, not what you don't want.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Because they're it's going to come to you.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So
in the sad part of not the sad part, but in the realization of this whole entire thing they were saying about the 16 years, is that he relapsed, and so he was able to at least call together his wife and his co-host, who's basically co-host was basically kind of calling him out and saying something's wrong. So he confessed to them that he was taking pain pills after being in a motorcycle accident, and he was abusing him.
okay.
So now he's saying, but I am now 7 days clean. So I don't really comment under anyone's thing usually, but I had to. I was like, okay, can someone explain to me what is the magic of counting? And of course, someone said what you had just said to me.
Yeah.
They're celebrating that.
Yeah.
And I said,
made it through another day.
I said, that's interesting. And I said, so if you meet me for the first time and I walk up to you and I say, hi, my name is Larry. I've been 59 years and 4 months since I wet my bed. Wouldn't you think that was strange that I was still counting that?
Yeah.
If we have this thing that is true, that science says that you learn your personality between ages 1 and 6, that's like having a baby who's trying to walk for the first time and they fall down. You don't say, well, don't try that again. It's obviously you can't do it.
Right.
No. Once they do it, it's great. Or it's like they're riding a bicycle for the first time.
Yeah.
They're going to fall a couple times. And then once they get it, you don't sit there and say, you could fall, real watch yourself again.
Right.
Because they've done it and they've moved on. When they finish wetting their bed,
Yeah.
do we give them a coin every month until they're 50? We don't.
No.
But when we get older, we actually do that. So it's a strange kind of a phenomenon that I've been witnessing and try to wonder. Like if someone were to ask me, how long have you been recovered? I couldn't tell you. I know it's been about 20-something years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, 'cause
well, you don't think about it anymore. That's like I was telling you before,
Yeah.
I quit smoking. I mean, the only reason I can remember how long it's been because I was pregnant with my my second child. I was like 3 months pregnant, and
Yeah.
I was on a trip with my mother and my my aunt, and my mother had gotten this bad news about one of her friends who was a heavy smoker,
Mm-hmm.
who they found all these spots on her lungs. So she had lung cancer. So the whole trip, I was getting updates about her lung cancer. And it was just like one day I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't want to get lung cancer. I crumpled up my cigarettes, threw them in the toilet, and I haven't had one since.
Right.
I mean, but I had tried to quit many times before then. And that time it was just like, I'm not going back. There's no way, because before I would maybe I'm only going to have 3 cigarettes today, and I'd go for months with those 3 cigarettes, and then, oh, I'm going out with a friend tonight. Maybe I'll just do some social smoking, and then before I knew it, I was smoking again. But this time,
because it's active. Once again,
yeah,
you're keeping it active by putting these rules on it.
right.
You're keeping it active, basically.
Right.
Yes.
It was kind of like you. And, the moment came where I was just like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And I never looked back.
I remember.
I wish I could do that with dieting. I got to finish that book. I hope it's my miracle, Larry. I hope it's my miracle.
Well, it's like
20 pounds.
It's like the whole thing with Len Bias. For those who can think back when Boston Celtics were drafting this kid who's supposed to be even better than Jordan. They were both playing at the same time and going to the Celtics. They were already a dynasty. They were already winning championships. So you add the best player in college to a great team, they're going to be winning and what basically wound up happening is he was celebrating his being drafted by them with friends. They got some coke, used it, and he died.
Really?
And at that moment, I said to myself,
so he never even made it onto the team?
Never made it to the team. It was very tragic. But I do remember having an impact on me. I said, he died. That's the end of cocaine for me, and it's over.
Really? So that was the turning point for you?
That was a turning point for cocaine. I just said, I'll never do cocaine again because I don't want to just die like that. I'm not ready to die. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's that whole entire thing about keeping something alive in your consciousness.
Right.
That it's always active at that point.
Right. I guess it's just part of being human when you think about it. I mean, how many people, want to change, and then something happens to their physical being where they have to change. You know what I mean?
But if you go back to the infant, it's somewhere in between, he's wetting his bed. Once he stops, he doesn't think back to it again.
Right.
And start to use that as, a stepping point. In the very beginning, he will, right? Because but look, Ma, it's been 2 days now. And after a while, that's over. Yeah,
but wetting a bed isn't an addiction. It's not like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like
how do they differ? Great question, huh?
How do they differ?
Yep. It's a behavior that you no longer want to do.
True.
If you break it down for what it really is, it's a behavior that you no longer want to do. Yeah,
but you're not getting rid of it. But it's not something that makes you feel good, like cocaine or alcohol. I mean, it's an accident that you have.
It makes you feel good.
What, wetting your bed?
Alcohol.
Well, some people it does.
Yeah.
You know what it does to me. It makes me starry-eyed. Jesus.
You get the old starry-eyed.
I'm doing much better this time. I had coffee.
That's it.
That's
Get
the key,
starry-eyed,
Larry. That's the key, Larry.
Like that. Right.
Coffee, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you say that, so speaking serious, when you say that, there's not much of a separation between the two. Believe it or not, it's a behavior. It is a behavior. It is a behavior that you don't want.
Right.
So if you have a behavior that you don't want, it's almost like
Yeah, but with the alcohol, you don't want it, but you want it. You don't want to be an alcoholic, but you want the booze. I see that with my partner who's been clean for almost 10 years. She still will say, God, I would love to have a glass of Chardonnay tonight.
So you wonder, in that same, when you say that.
But you're not saying, oh, I wish I could wet my bed again tonight.
No, but it's the same thing. The same behavior is you're keeping it active. You're keeping it alive. So you're really still there. Mentally, consciously, you're still there. It's not gone. You think it's gone because, okay, I haven't done it, but you're actively keeping it going. It's almost like
What, the bedwetting?
no, the wanting the alcohol. When you sit there saying, "I want that,"
Right.
Like I said, what you resist will persist.
Right.
Okay, so when you're sitting there saying that I don't want it, I said actually it's still there because you keep trying to push it away, and it keeps pushing back.
Right.
It pushes back twice as hard as you push it away.
Well, it's usually when she's having a rough day. Having a rough day, and that's the go-to.
And that's a learned behavior, because the learned behavior is when things get rough. Like if you look at most programs, they will say to you, you better keep coming and you better keep doing this, because if you don't and things go rough, you're going to go right back to that bad behavior.
Right.
And you know what usually happens? That becomes true. Well, why is it becoming true? It's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior.
Okay.
So when times get tough, people say something like, I can't think of his name, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
Great actor, was 20 years clean.
Right.
How could he go back and use? Well, for 20-something years, he's been taught something. And what you're taught is, if things ever get rough, you're going to go right back. So when it happens, you can't be surprised. It's almost that self-prophecy thing.
Well, I think people are surprised because you look at somebody like that and he's got it all. A great career,
Exactly.
He had wife and kids, and
no matter how great your life is, and no matter how good your life is, there's going to be ups and downs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You can be the greatest person in the world. There is still ups and downs.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was just listening to Eckhart Tolle. He was talking about that. He's like,
oh boy,
the happiest person, the most enlightened person in the world has ups and downs.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the ups and downs come, you don't train yourself that something bad's going to happen, because now you're in that mindset. Oh, now something bad happened.
Well, a lot of
And
people
the next
who
thing
have
is
good.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to jinx myself. This is too good to be true. My life is too wonderful that I know something bad's going to happen.
Well, they're waiting for the
other shoe to drop.
The other shoe to drop. The same thing.
Right.
So in the same sequence, you're thinking about a person who will sit there and say to you, "Oh man, I'm doing so well. I haven't used alcohol, or I haven't used Coke, or I haven't used anything in 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think about it anymore." Well, you wonder how it's coming out of their mouth if they haven't thought about it, which means they are thinking about it.
So then how do you get
It's
rid
staying active.
So how do you get rid of those thoughts? How do you get rid of that monkey mind, Larry, as they call it?
First of all, you grab the book.
Because I used to listen to the Jerry, the Esther Hicks, and how to train yourself to only think of pretty much what you want. Don't think of. But it's hard to do because you let it in, and then when you let it in, Then you feel like a failure. Oh no, I let it in. I screwed up. Okay, let's go back to square one.
But why would you have to go back anywhere when you've already come to a certain point? Why would you go back? Why do you think you have to go back and redo when you've already reached this point? For instance, if I have a thought of crack cocaine,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I realize it's a thought, and I go, nice try, you're out of here.
Right.
And you move on. I don't sit there and keep thinking about it, which is what part of the practice of meditation teaches you, is how to have a thought and let it go and not attach to that thought.
Right.
Because most people will try to meditate. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to meditate.
Oh no, shitty thoughts coming.
And all of
What
a
do I
sudden-
do?
And next
That's
thing,
what used to happen to me.
next thing you know, you're thinking of a sandwich. Then you're like, oh, with mayonnaise and ooh, a little tomato. And next thing you know, you're not meditating
Right.
because you went with that thought of the sandwich and you just kept it
Right.
going.
Right.
Rather than to have the thought sandwich and let it go. A new thought's going to come in and replace it.
Right.
But if you build off of the sandwich thought, the next thought's going to be, and a glass of milk, and you're going to keep going.
Yeah, that's pretty
With that
much
thought.
that's pretty much my thought process.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so to
I'll
be
usually have sticky notes right there so I can at least take notes while the
yeah. So to change that behavior, you have to be aware of how your mind is working, and what your consciousness is, and how to let things go, and how to move on from those things.
The problem is when you get to our age,
Yeah.
it's very easy. Things just seem to go. I don't want to let them go. I want to let them hang around just a little longer so I can remember them.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. But anyway, then the whole entire thought of that. So basically, I haven't reached out to this person yet to have this conversation that I'm dying to have with them. But anyway, I just, when I had typed in, which I never do, underneath you type in something and someone answered me, I asked them that question. I asked them the question, so if you were a bedwetter, do you keep counting how long it's been? Because it's like, when do you stop that?
Right.
When do you stop that? And it's not really a negative thing that we're saying here. It's really a positive thing, because like if you are in that type of a program and stuff like that, and you're being told that this is how it goes, you know, you have to understand that that program was never meant to heal anybody. Its objective was never meant at the end to be healed. One of the things I had written in
It's a lifetime commitment, pretty much.
right, it has nothing to do with healing.
You're part of the club.
There's nothing to do with healing. And one of the things I had put into my book was this little story of the bird. Little baby bird breaks its wing,
I
and
don't think I've heard this one.
you got to finish the book.
Yeah, I got to finish the book.
So the parents don't want to hear their kids crying, so they try to tape the bird's wing, you know, and they get an eyedropper, start giving it some water, try to give it some nutrition, try to get to eat.
Wait, is this the parent bird or is this the human?
This is a bird,
Okay.
and the little
I didn't know birds had eyedroppers.
oh, I said the parent gets the eyedropper and is now feeding the bird to kind of help it, you know, heal itself and keep it alive.
Okay.
So the kids aren't crying and complaining constantly the bird's dying.
Okay, gotcha.
So eventually the bird does get some nutrition in the wing, gets a little bit better, and eventually you get to take the tape off the wing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not flying, but it's like hopping around at least, which is good.
Good.
And then one day it hops to a picnic table chair, and then it goes from the chair to the top of the table, and then it goes from the table to a branch, and then a branch that goes across the sky. You see it flying and it's soaring like a bird does.
Okay.
How come we don't say, look at that bird, he's in recovery? Because we don't. We just go, oh, look, the bird's flying again. And the
bird's healed.
bird doesn't think. And that bird never thinks, oh, my gosh, I better watch out for my wing.
Yeah, but that's
It could break
that's
again.
pretty much all animals, pretty much straight across the board.
Thank you. But
It's
we're
just not humans.
But we are the intelligent beings
yeah,
who
right.
break our arm and have people sign it to make sure we know that we broke our arm. You can tell the story over and over again.
Right.
I remember being at walking into a coffee shop, and there was someone there with a broken arm, and I was trying to walk in, and he's like,
You want some of my gas?
"You want to know what happened to my arm?" I was like, "No, I don't know you." The answer is actually no, but he wants to tell the story,
Right.
and then I can hear him tell to 4 or 5 different people,
Yeah.
of what happened. And I was like, "How many times are you gonna tell the people that you don't know that story?"
Yeah.
But it's a mindset that we get into. So
Oh,
I'm really into like studying the mind.
I'm
so
used to telling stories over and over and, over again. Yes.
yeah.
You
Well,
know.
broken arms?
No, but like when I go on a trip, and I got to tell the same stories over
Well, that's
and
a
over
decent.
again.
That's a decent story.
But-
That's a good story, though. I don't know, that's a good story.
But I'm like,
like
I'm
that.
like one of those. Once the trip's done, it's like, okay, let's move on. I don't want to tell the story. I'll tell the story to a few first, because they ask me the same questions.
Yeah.
What was the best part of your trip, and
Mm.
what kind of food did they have, and
So that's
after I've told that story a couple times, I'm done.
yeah.
Jimmy's like, why don't you just put a recording on? I'm like, I don't think so. That's not gonna work.
But that's the
Or
same.
why don't you just not tell people you're going on a trip? Oh, so I'm just gonna disappear for 2 weeks?
Hmm.
How am I gonna? Then I'm gonna have to explain to everybody. So, whatever.
Where's Jane?
Where's Jane?
Yeah. I tell them I have an app for that.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of missing my wing chair. I'm
are you really?
Yes, I am. These chairs are not. Are you comfortable?
I like you up here.
Okay.
You know.
I feel like I'm gonna get a leg cramp. I just keep moving my foot. That's if I'm not trying to play footsie with you under the table, Larry. It's just like I don't want to get a cramp.
I don't want to get a cramp.
No.
Yeah.
I'll just keep drinking water.
Lots of water.
Lots of water.
Lots of water. So next week.
Next week, next Thursday. Right. I don't know if we're gonna put her right there.
We're gonna
I
put it
think-
right here somewhere.
I think we. Maybe
We're
we'll
gonna-
put her where you
we're gonna
are.
grab a
We'll sandwich her.
We're gonna grab a bunch of masks, and we're gonna bring on our first guest. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yes, my daughter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
My daughter, Emily Ann Power, who is Larry's adopted daughter.
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
I always tell her when she comes. She's been in school for how many years?
Well, it's like let me think.
We're going
5,
4,
6, 7 year plan.
Yeah,
She's
Yeah.
following in her mother's footsteps.
but it's like
Um,
when she's coming back. It's like I tell her it's like
she has her master's degree now.
it's like a Dave Matthews concert. She's on tour. Here on,
It's definitely tour.
on the East Coast.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've already been texting back and forth.
Yeah.
She wants to know exactly when I'm going to be able to see her because when I have to work, she's got to be with her father or this one or that one.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we have her next Thursday. So she will be our first guest. And it's going to be a good one.
It's gonna be a blast.
We got to start booking them.
It's gonna be a blast, and from there we'll be on a roll.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing us chit-chat.
you don't want to hear me yapping about the same topic over and over again, because you know me, Jane. I keep talking about it because I want to know why.
What? Why people...
Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we torture ourselves over and over and over again? It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I do it.
I try not to.
I do it with the whole dieting thing. And now that, I don't know, now I'm just at the point I watch all my clients go on diet after diet and lose weight and gain weight and lose it. And they lose too much and then they look old. And I'm like, why do I want to put myself through that?
It's all part of the journey, right?
I just want to be like that girl that you met years ago that had the big hair who would show up at the chowder pot to go dancing.
With the dancing, that's it.
I want to look like that girl again. Do you remember her?
Now that you snagged Jimmy, it's over, Jane. Those days are over. Okay,
Oh my god.
that's it.
I know. My son-in-law was funny. Yesterday we're having lunch and I'm like, my son-in-law's name is King. And I'm like, King, I said, are those a couple gray hairs that I see on your chin? He goes, yeah. He goes, I got a lot of them. He goes, but you know what? I'm married now, so it doesn't matter.
That's it. He can do that.
My daughter looks at him like, oh, really? You know?
When it gets gray, it's distinguished, they say.
Yeah.
I don't know where they got that from. I'm
Yeah.
going with it, though.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think I'd look distinguished if I had a big gray hair
gray
hanging
hair.
off my chin.
Yeah.
Sea hag. That's what I'd look like. Maybe,
Well.
she's distinguished. All right.
Are you telling me I look like a sea hag?
No, you look
That's
good
what it
there.
is? Okay. Distinguished?
When I met you, did you have that beard?
Yes.
I thought you were clean shaven. I
No.
could swear.
No.
Your
Because
chin looked like your head.
it was funny because when you actually met me, I was at the Chowder Pot.
Right.
Chowder Pot gets a plug.
Actually, we went there for dinner the other night.
Did you?
Yes. It was damn good.
Yeah. Very good. Chef's a good guy.
Yeah.
Chef John.
Chef John.
When I started at the Chowder Pot was when I first shaved my head.
I can't even imagine you with hair.
I don't know. No one can because
wanna see
it's been
it.
a long time.
Can't you just let it grow for like a couple months?
Well, there's pictures of it, and I'll show you a picture. How about that?
All right, show me a picture. Bring it on.
Because
Bring it on next time.
since that was 1996
Yeah.
when I worked there, when they were opening up the new bar, and that's the first time I decided I took a razor and went down the middle of my head
Yeah.
and took it all off for the first time. And so now the problem is I don't know what's coming back and what's not. And I'm not going to find out. So
Well, what-
you can have all the hair back? I don't know.
Well, what does your brother's head look like?
We're totally different.
Does
Very
have,
different,
Does he
yeah.
have hair?
Yeah. Yep.
Does he have a bald spot on the top of his head?
He's kind of peaking. He's got that thing going over here a little bit.
We call that the peninsula.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
peninsula look.
Jimmy has
Yeah.
the peninsula.
Yeah, so I'm sure that I'm sure all of it's not coming back. So.
Oh, well, who gives a
You know,
shit?
yeah.
When you get to our age, Larry, who
Well,
gives a shit?
You know what? I never liked my hair anyway, so
Really?
yeah.
I never liked mine. Everybody else liked my hair, but I never liked it. It just reminds me of a bale of hay. But, you know, everyone's like, you have such volume. I'm like,
That's it.
feel my hair. It's not soft. Your fingers will get stuck in it, but I got volume.
Yeah, volume.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good.
whatever.
Volume's good.
Yeah, volume
Yeah.
is good.
So you were saying that the message we're getting basically it's about what?
What message are you talking about?
For
The one I
that
got
we're reading
today?
tonight. Yeah, no, the reading tonight.
The reading tonight, I don't have my glasses on. Let me see. Your mind-body connection.
Excellent.
Yeah, very short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
It's
Wow.
amazing because the message I got today was 52 minutes. It just flies by.
Just flies by.
Crazy.
Um,
I just did a reading last week, too. I'm trying to think of who I did it with for the first time. Oh, my friend Carla that I went to Egypt with.
oh really?
It was wild.
You had a couple new ones last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did
Did it kill?
Caleb's girlfriend. I'm getting back in the saddle again.
Yep.
I mean, I used to do readings.
We
like
keep saying-
every
We keep
single
saying
day.
Caleb, and he's right there.
Caleb's right over here on the
That's
other side.
it.
You should turn the camera around, Caleb.
Yeah.
Handsome devil.
He's on the other side there. So when we say
Only-
that, that's what
Only
what
he's
that
got
is.
bad. He's got bad eating habits, though. Only after this, we're gonna go have some homemade apple crisp.
Apple crisp
from the
tonight.
apples we picked from Canterbury, Connecticut.
Mm.
And Caleb's gonna try it for the first time.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. All right.
So is that it?
Next week,
Next week, Emily Power.
Emily.
Emily Power,
Power.
who's got her master's in holistic nutrition. We're gonna
So
learn.
proud
We're gonna
of her.
learn. We're gonna learn all about that.
So proud of her.
She's a light, bigger than life.
That's it.
All
That's
right.
it.
All right. So I'll see you next week. Well,
Okay.
actually, I'll see you tomorrow morning when I'm on my
Yeah.
when I'm walking my dog past your door.
Well, it's only if Raffy sees a truck
Yeah.
or a delivery person that I know he's passing
Yeah.
because he's got to start up.
Exactly.
That's it. There will be no trucks while I'm walking.
No, it's the mailman.
That's it. Mailman.
It's the mailman.
Well, could be UPS. The other day was UPS.
It's not the truck. It's if the person doesn't acknowledge me, he won't do a thing. If somebody says hi to me, Rafi will lunge and bark at him. Don't ask me why. He's a little 9-pound ankle biter, but we love him.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right.
So I'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye. March 20th, 2019. And we're calling this Your Mind-Body Connection. I want to talk to you about your minds and how your mind can affect your body. Humans think they are in control of their physical body. I am here to tell you that you are not. When it is time that your soul has chosen to return home, you will go. Even the human who has done everything right in their life to keep their bodies healthy are called home in the peak of their health. I don't mean that you should abuse your body, for you can speed things up. I want you to change your way of thinking and know there is no changing the contract between the human and the soul. I want you to learn to let go of your fears and know I am with you. And even those who die what you would call a horrific death is really only an illusion to those onlookers. God and the angels are right by your sides to guide them back home where they are whole again.